This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. With school out, summer is the perfect time to teach our kids real-world money skills they'll use forever. Greenlight is a debit card and the #1 family finance and safety app used by millions of families, helping kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. Parents can send their kids money and track their spending and saving, while kids build money confidence and skills in fun ways. Start your risk-free Greenlight trial today at greenlight.com/iHeart. That's greenlight.com/iHeart.
This Labor Day, say goodbye to spills, stains, and overpriced furniture with WashableSofas.com, featuring Anabay, the only machine washable sofa inside and out, where designer quality meets budget-friendly pricing. Sofas start at just $6.99, making it the perfect time to upgrade your space. Anabay's pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and interchangeable slipcovers are made with high-performance fabric built for real life. You'll love the cloud-like comfort of hypoallergenic, high-resilience foam that never needs fluffing, and a durable steel frame that stands the test of time. With modular pieces, you can rearrange anytime. It's a sofa that adapts to your life. Now through Labor Day, get up to 60% off site-wide at WashableSofas.com. Every order comes with a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. If you're not in love, send it back for a full refund. No return shipping, no restocking fees, every penny back. Shop now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.
Two of the program of 3 live from the Minnesota State Fair, Carousel Park, Shadows of the Grandstand, the common man Dan Cole, along with Tenna B, the bridge producer of the program. He's been the interim producer. He was elevated to bridge producer. What was the other one we came up with? There was some other producer of some sort.
I forgot.
Yeah.
My memory's not that great.
Mine as well. Excited and delighted to be joined here at our booth at the State Fair by the Athletics, Michael Russo. And
how are you?
You're on with Pierre earlier.
Yeah.
Are you on with Barrera later today?
Yeah, I crammed them all into one day because I've been out of town so much.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think you could force your way onto the Gophers halftime show today?
I'll try.
Why don't you see if you can get on the Gopher halftime?
I'm going to ask Guardsy. Is Guardsy going to double duty today, or is he not coming down here?
I doubt he would be here.
I'll text Guardsy and see if I can pull that off.
That would be sweet.
Once in Florida, I had a Heat, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins story on the front page on the same day, and one of the off seasons where everybody's on vacation.
Yeah.
So maybe I can figure that out. I wasn't on the morning show today though.
You were?
I was not. They never asked me.
You had 3 stories on the front page of the 4.
Yeah, Heat, Panthers, Dolphins, and Marlins all on the same day. It was like the Heat signed Dwayne Coswell, the Panthers signed Esa Tikkanen. I covered the Marlins game, and the Dolphins, if I remember correctly, redid Dan Marino's contract to get Util Green under the cap. But everybody was off. So I essentially
old were you? 4 years old?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
I was.
Because that was a long time ago.
I started working at the Sun-Sentinel when I was 14, 15.
Really?
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Of those 4 stories, which one were you the most bored with? Which one did you mail in the most? Was it the baseball game?
Probably the Coswell one.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, the baseball I always was nervous to try to make good because it was an actual game story.
Yeah.
Dan Marino, you got to pay attention to, and Util Green was our first-round pick. And Esa Tikkanen, I covered the Panthers, so I was excited about that one. The Coswell one was probably the one I was like, all right.
When you were doing...
You couldn't even Google stuff back then.
No, there was no way.
You actually had to call people and ask, oh, how old is he?
Right. When you were doing gamers, I always kind of wondered, maybe admired, I don't know what word I'm looking for, where you're writing the gamer, because you have a deadline. So you can't wait till the end of the baseball game or the hockey or basketball, football. You have to be kind of writing as you go along. Mm-hmm. But then the whole thing can be changed in a moment.
So my first ever Marlins game that I covered, and this was for Associated Press. So the way it worked for AP, and it's still kind of the way, is that you'd run quotes or you'd write the gamer. Well, the first time they asked me to write a gamer, I was covering a Houston Astros Marlins game, and the Astros were up 1-0 going in the bottom ninth, and Devon White and Jeff Conine went back-to-back on Billy Wagner, and it changed everything, and I had to rewrite it, and that. So it wasn't like the worst.
Your negative tone had to go away.
Yeah. Like, I mean, they're worth, trust me, like I've covered games at Madison Square Garden where the Wild melted down and lost Zuccarello actually was the star of the game. Or the one famous game in Minnesota where the Wild scored 4 goals in the last minute. Remember Guillaume Latendresse and all. Those could give you a heart attack, trying to rewrite an entire hockey story at the last second. Because, the way it works at a newspaper, you got to get it right online right away. And at least the way it used to work at the Strib is you had the state edition, so you couldn't wait. And that could give you a heart attack. Even though I was super young, it was still my first experience of having to rewrite a Marlin story at last second. And, everything changes, the tone. So a lot of times, if you're at home reading a Star Tribune story and the game changed, you can pretty much tell what was changed right away, and then how the rest is almost negative.
Right.
And then you have time to rewrite and do it, and it could completely change. But one of the most hellacious ones I covered was the Game 7 of the 2014 playoffs with the Wild, when the Wild came back 4 different times from a goal down, and won in overtime. And the way it worked is I had 2 stories on my screen. One, if they lost in overtime, their season ended. And one, if they advanced to play Chicago. And 2 very different tones, but a lot of the same info. And you're putting stuff here and you're putting stuff there, and you're trying to it could get really confusing quick.
I don't understand how, because you're typing as the game's going on.
Yeah, you're not
baseball is a sport where you can watch a pitch, type for 15 seconds, watch another pitch. Hockey, I don't know how you can pay attention to what's going on while you're in your keyboard.
I remember Wes Walls, when I was covering him as a player, he clearly was. I've told this story before, so he's not going to get pissed if he's listening. But he was clearly not happy about something that I wrote in the paper that day, and he just deadpan to me. He goes, Mike, and I go over to his stall, and he goes, you watch the games? And then I knew that he was trying to tell me he wasn't happy with something, and I go, not the third periods, which is probably the most integral period of a hockey game. But until he became a broadcaster, he didn't realize what I meant. You're not watching the most important. That's why I rewatch every Wild game that I cover, because even at the Athletic, where you don't have to really file at the gun, now we do the takeaways, so you do, and so you're not watching. You're missing a ton of stuff, and so I always rewatch at least the third periods of the games if I know that I think I've missed something.
So you can have that part. So and you basically, as a beat writer, you have to get the first out right away as quickly as you can. But then you do rewrite and go get quotes from coaches or players or whatever. So then you write another version for later on. Correct?
Exactly, like that game 2010. Playoff game. I mean, I was essentially on the phone with my editor, Chris Miller, at the Strib, and he was essentially typing, filling in the blanks, because it was, it was 1 a.m. back here. But then you're rewriting and now trying to write a good story, and you're leaving the rink at 3 a.m. So trust me, it's the early.
It's even harder on the West Coast then too, right? How do you handle those games?
Those games, same thing. You're filing sometimes 10 minutes before the game's over and constantly just updating things, and so it's not the most efficient way to do things, and no writer likes their first version because of this. The average fan at home or reader doesn't, they're seeing mistakes in their early morning version, state edition. They're not having any sympathy for what you were going through at night, but it's really the second version that you want to read. So I always told subscribers of mine, make sure you go online and read the actual final story.
Right.
The ones you're getting at home usually are not the best.
Well, and you mentioned not having the internet to look things up, and I can't imagine because even in the very little show prep I put in, if I look at something and I go, I like this angle I want to go at, and I just want to see something about that player. Well, if you weren't able to just Google his game, I don't know how you would find that out about that player. I'm not going to call the media relations guy with the Chicago Bears for crying out loud. So I don't know how you did it.
Yeah, well, I'm old enough to remember like answering the phones at the Sun Sentinel when I was a young kid, and people calling in like, "Can I get the Yankees score?" Like, there was no way for people to look that up. You get the same people every night. Can you tell me what the Cincinnati Reds score is? Like, there was no way to look this stuff up if you didn't. So I don't even know how it worked. But I'm old enough to remember. So when I started in the early 90s as a sports writer, you didn't really even have laptops. You had what's called a Tandy 102 or a TRS-80. It was a Radio Shack computer. You can Google this. You'd send stories with acoustic couplers. You'd put the phone on there. It'd be almost like a fax machine. And if anybody was talking in the background, the newspaper would just get garbled. And you'd see it, and you'd be writing on a screen so your computer was like this, horizontal on the board, and your screen would be this big too. And if anybody's listening at home, just Google what a TRS-80 or a Tandy 102 would be. I remember when I got upgraded to the Tandy 102, I thought I was like the coolest person in the world. Now I look back at that, and I'm like amazed I was able to do it. But there was nothing. If I was telling somebody the story the other day. Like, there you go. But that's actually not it. I'm trying to see. You got to almost like put Tandy 102 like laptop to see what it actually.
Tandy 102.
Yeah, or TRS-80. Yeah, to just see what it looks like. That's what it is. So like that screen is how you would write.
Oh,
yeah, it was unbelievable. But I was telling somebody the other day, like I remember when the Florida Panthers got Trevor Kidd in the '98 expansion draft. They made a trade to get him before the draft. I was leaving my hotel room to go to the Red Sox game. I still have never been to Fenway since. But you didn't have a cell phone, you didn't have an email, you didn't have Twitter, all that stuff. All of a sudden, my hotel phone rings, and it's the Panthers PR guy, and he's telling me that we made this trade. And so I'm writing in my story, but even everything I wrote in that story about Trevor Kidd, I remember, and then this is '98, is off the press release or by phone to Trevor. Like there was nothing to look up. When I first started off covering the Panthers, if you were going on a road trip, you would bring the guide and record book. If you were on a 5-game trip, you'd bring the media guides for all 5 teams and your team. And so you'd have a separate duffel that weighed like 100 pounds with books. Because if your team made a trade or anything, that's how you had to look up an age, a height, or anything like that. So there was it's just, and this is again like the 90s. We're not like, imagine the way sports writers did it in Sid's age and Royce's age, you know, like the 80s, 70s, 60s. I don't even know how you even send an article back then. So
I don't think they did. My guess is either they probably typed it on a typewriter, then tied it to a carrier pigeon's leg and threw them out the window.
Yeah,
right?
send it by horse or something.
Yeah, something like that. Or telegraph, dot, 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 dee.
Yeah, Morse code.
Morse code. The only way they could do it. Yeah. So anyway, let's do this. Take a break. Want to talk some wildness. Michael Russo, The Athletic. He's here for the entire hour. Mark Rosen at 2 o'clock. Joined by a couple of Frost players later. Zumwinkle and Heisey. So we'll do that. Back with Michael Russo from The Athletic. We're broadcasting live from the Minnesota State Fair, Carousel Park, Shadows of the Grandstand, right here on the Fan.
In the heat of battle, your squad relies on you. Don't let them down. Unlock elite gaming tech at Lenovo.com. Dominate every match with next-level speed, seamless streaming, and performance that won't quit. And push your gameplay beyond limits with Intel Core Ultra processors. That's the power of Lenovo with Intel Inside. Maximize your edge by shopping at Lenovo.com during their back-to-school sale. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo. This Labor Day, say goodbye to spills, stains, and overpriced furniture with WashableSofas.com. Featuring Anabay, the only machine washable sofa inside and out, where designer quality meets budget-friendly pricing. Sofas start at just $6.99, making it the perfect time to upgrade your space. Anabay's pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and interchangeable slipcovers are made with high-performance fabric built for real life. You'll love the cloud-like comfort of hypoallergenic, high-resilience foam that never needs fluffing, and a durable steel frame that stands the test of time. With modular pieces, you can rearrange anytime. It's a sofa that adapts to your life. Now through Labor Day, get up to 60% off site-wide at WashableSofas.com. Every order comes with a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. If you're not in love, send it back for a full refund. No return shipping, no restocking fees, every penny back. Shop now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.
Looking for a mortgage, credit card, or auto loan? Then you should know your FICO score. Did you know 90% of top lenders use FICO scores? Visit myfico.com/free today to get your FICO score for free. MyFICO makes it easy to understand your credit with FICO scores, credit reports, and alerts. Visit myfico.com/free or download the MyFICO app and discover the score lenders use most.
Minnesota State Fair is our broadcast location. Has been for since last Thursday. We've been here a week ago today is when we started. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. We're at Carousel Park in the shadows of the grandstand. I'm the common man, Dan Cole, along with Tennessee. Excited and delighted to be joined by Michael Russo of The Athletic. You know, talking off.
The what?
You don't? Haven't you ever heard of The Athletic?
I haven't heard of The Athletic. What is that?
Well, it's a website that's about sports your whole life, just sports. And what I think it was two guys that came up with the idea. Then it got sold to the New York Times, which is a cool thing. And what they do is they've collected some of the best sports writers from all over the country in all the different major metropolitan areas, and then they write for The Athletic.
Interesting. Oh.
It's almost like it's like a USA Today, but for sports your whole life, just sports. And they plucked.
Must be nice because you don't have deadlines and you can write as many words as you want. It must be nice.
Exactly. You remember the National back in the day?
Yes, I do remember the National.
Like they were kind of ahead of their times.
Yeah, they were doing the same thing.
Yeah,
right?
Only they had to have infrastructure, buildings, printing presses, and it didn't go well.
No, it did not. And as we were talking about the break, it sometimes you think, well, you cover the Wild or somebody covers the Vikings or something. You do more than just cover the Wild for The Athletic, right? What
I cover the playoffs the entire 2 months if the Wild are out of it. So like when the Wild were eliminated, last year in Vegas against Vegas. Next thing I know, I'm on a plane, pretty much covering what they usually let me pick, and I've gotten lucky 2 years in a row. I've covered Florida, and they've won the Cup. So last year I covered 4 rounds. This year I covered 2, and then just got back from Milan for the NHL media tour. There, sat down with 27 players. Just went to the U.S. Olympic camp in Plymouth, Michigan, last couple days, and then I'm going to Vegas in a couple weeks for the NHL media tour there. So I get to kind of dabble everything. Joe Smith and I kind of co-cover the Wild, and then I'm doing a bunch of national stuff. Joe's also got some super secret assignments coming up nationally, coming up here in the next couple days as well. That'll be cool in The Athletic.
Well, so that variety has to, because I always joke with Ten to be like, and it's really not even a joke. It's like, let's say go back to the days when the Wolves were as bad as anybody, and you're the beat writer for the Wolves, and you're going on road trips for 10 days, and you sit down and you put your laptop down on press row, and you go, how am I going to write about another awful loss and hotel? Now, again, it beats running a jackhammer 100%. On 494, but a beat writer's job, especially if the team is not any good, it can get a bit arduous.
Absolutely, and it does. It gets monotonous. I mean, I remember that was one of the biggest selling points of coming to The Athletic is that we were gonna cover the Wild kind of like the newspaper did, but it wouldn't be like when I was working for the Strib, and this is just the way it is at newspapers, as you just said, is every single day you're going there, you're writing a notebook, then a game story or notebook, game story. It just sort of never ends. And at The Athletic, we get to do a bunch of variety of different things. And then when they've added this new role nationally for me, I get to cover every other team. I have a huge story on Patrick Kane running in tomorrow's Athletic. So I get to do stuff like that. And so it just, look, as you said, this is the greatest job in the world. I've never really worked a day in my life, even though it feels like work at times, because I'm not doing like stuff that actually, I'm not. I was talking to a police officer from Savage. I'm not saving lives. I'm not putting my livelihood on the line every day. I'm not digging ditches, working at a store, all that stuff. But when you do the same thing every day for as long as I have, it does get sometimes old. So to add a bunch of
I get that feeling.
Yeah, and
I really understand that feeling.
Yeah,
sure he does.
And the other thing, I remember, when I was a young kid, I wanted to be a broadcaster, a play-by-play guy, and that's the cool part of this job now. The whole part in the interruption thing is you get to do stuff on the Fan, you get to do stuff on FanDuel, you get to do stuff on NHL Network, podcasts, so you get to now do a variety of different stuff. Where if every single day you were writing an article, trust me, I hate writing. I hate it, and it weighs on you when you're not in awe of the way that you write
and you know what? You hate writing, and it shows in your work. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly.
No, you do a great job.
Well, even the way you were saying at the end, when you write that flowery prose at the end. I've never written a flowery prose in my life. Do you look at every article of mine? It's my best writing's quotes. Tomorrow, I guarantee you, actually, I know it for a fact, my Patrick Kane story ends with a Madonna quote. It's just usually I have a certain style of writing, and usually it's I think the average person that reads me on an everyday basis knows that the best part of my job, the strength, is not actually
the flowery prose.
Yeah.
Well, and I jokingly said that just because I do see that in the Athletic and elsewhere, where there will be guys that they'll I get it. You kind of have unlimited space if you want. And I go, is this story ever going to end? Yeah. And how much detail can you get? And then they try to make it almost like it's the end of some novel, like a romance novel. It's well, no, you don't have to get that. There's enough. You're going to write again. Yeah. This isn't the end of the end.
That's the way I always say when you write a crummy article, the next day you get to write it again and put it all behind you.
Well, you mentioned Florida Panthers. Did I just see? Did their business guy? He's with the Wolves now.
Yeah, he's there. So their CEO is now going to become the CEO of the Wolves and the Lynx. 10-year deal, apparently, according to Krasinski. Matthew Caldwell, he's done wonders for that franchise down there. He's been there since 2014. I've gotten to know him a little bit, not a ton. But trust me, I used to cover that organization. It was a train wreck off the ice, lack of stability, everything, not just their hockey ops. He was a huge integral part of the new incredible state-of-the-art practice facility there. If you talk to any Panthers players, they're treated differently than most teams in the league treat their players. The business of that organization is as good as it gets. So I'll be interested to see what he's able to do working for Laurie and A-Rod.
Well, what does he do that's better than the others? And I think most fans don't really even think about the CEO much. Even the owners, unless they're mad at him, like the poll ads or something. But I wonder what they do and then how they're better at others in accomplishing the things they need to do, because all I'm hearing is flowery prose about this guy.
Yeah, and let's be honest. I mean, one big reason why business has erupted down there is the fact that they've been one of the best teams in the league the last 3 years since Bill Zito got there. So obviously one goes hand in hand. I guarantee you that Matt Mako, who's one of the most respected CEOs in the game of hockey, would get all those accolades if the Wild would start winning rounds, and he would actually have nothing to do with that, right? I mean, he does an incredible job with the business of the Wild. So there's just very talented people that run franchises. We saw it obviously with Dave St. Peter for a long, long time with the Twins. But right now, this guy's stock is high based probably on the outcome of the ice, which has helped the business. So everything goes hand in hand.
And he takes over, and what do they do in Florida? They hired anybody yet?
Yeah, no, I don't think they've replaced him yet. But what was weird yesterday, and I wish I was going to be at whenever this Wolves press conference is going to be to ask him, but there were actually a handful, 4 or 5 people that left the Panthers yesterday in executive roles for other sports, other teams, like Sean Thornton, who's a former hockey player that worked for the Panthers for a long time under Matt Caldwell, just left the Panthers yesterday to go work for the Hawks in an upgraded role as well. He's like chief revenue officer with the Panthers. Now he's some real high up executive job with the Hawks. So a lot of guys left yesterday as well.
And what's interesting is it's not like, how can a hockey guy do the NBA when it comes to CEO stuff? It doesn't really. He could probably be the CEO of Perkins if he wanted to, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it is. I mean, you're just business geniuses. I remember the Yormarks ran. Michael Yormark, Brett Yormark's brother, who's huge in what's the nation, the movie concerts and stuff.
Live Nation.
Yeah, so he, I think, started that. So Michael Yormark, his twin brother, ran the Panthers for a long, long time, then left there, I think, to go for work for the Nets and everybody up in Brooklyn. So I could be wrong on some of this stuff, but yeah, it is.
Who do you think? Mark Rosen?
Yeah, exactly. Thank God I don't have the ding behind me. I'd be name dropping every second. Yeah, I do that every second.
There you go.
There you go. So,
well, let's do this. Well, we haven't.
For you, we need to have like some sort of like cat prowl for when you mentioned Florida Panthers. That should be your version.
That's true. Fallness. I'm surprised I haven't gotten
Florida Panthers reference.
Fallness every second.
We have not talked Wild yet, so let's do that on the other side of the break. We have Michael Russo for one more segment, and then Mark Rosen comes in, a couple of visits from some Frost players. So let's take a break. We're broadcasting live from Carousel Park, Shadows of the Grandstand, right here on the Fan. Look at this Richie Kotite guy.
Hello.
Michael, it's Rich Kotite.
In the heat of battle, your squad relies on you. Don't let them down. Unlock elite gaming tech at Lenovo.com. Dominate every match with next-level speed, seamless streaming, and performance that won't quit. And push your gameplay beyond limits with Intel Core Ultra processors. That's the power of Lenovo with Intel Inside. Maximize your edge by shopping at Lenovo.com during their back-to-school sale. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo.
This Labor Day, say goodbye to spills, stains, and overpriced furniture with WashableSofas.com. Featuring Anabay, the only machine washable sofa inside and out, where designer quality meets budget-friendly pricing. Sofas start at just $6.99, making it the perfect time to upgrade your space. Anabay's pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and interchangeable slipcovers are made with high-performance fabric built for real life. You'll love the cloud-like comfort of hypoallergenic, high-resilience foam that never needs fluffing, and a durable steel frame that stands the test of time. With modular pieces, you can rearrange anytime. It's a sofa that adapts to your life. Now through Labor Day, get up to 60% off site-wide at WashableSofas.com. Every order comes with a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. If you're not in love, send it back for a full refund. No return shipping, no restocking fees, every penny back. Shop now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.
Looking to buy your first car or home? Understanding your FICO score is key to achieving your life goals. Knowing your FICO scores helps you apply for loans with confidence and avoid surprises. With MyFICO, you get access to your FICO score, credit reports, 24/7 monitoring, and alerts on the go. Take the mystery out of your score and get your FICO score for free today. Visit myfico.com/free and discover the score lenders use most.
Minnesota State Fairgrounds, Carousel Park, pretty much smack dab in the middle of the fairgrounds. I don't know the exact latitude and longitude, but we're in the shadows of the grandstand. I'm Comedy's Tenby. Michael Russo, the Athletic, is with us. The Wild, off season. I'm not paying as close attention to the NHL or the Wild as I once did. Is the Rossi move the biggest one? That the biggest, most significant move or piece of development that's happened with the Wild.
Certainly in 2 months it has been. Yeah. It's been a slow offseason. They still got one major piece of business to go, maybe two, depending on Kirill Kaprizov and Philip Gustafson extensions that could be coming down the pike. But you're right. I mean, it's been a long sort of contract battle to get Rossi under contract. They got a good compromise, 3 years, 15. He gets $6 million that third year, which is huge because that's what you base your qualifying offer on. So at a minimum, he knows as long as he's still in the Wild that he'll make $6 million, even if it's on a 1-year deal going into his unrestricted year. But in terms of biggest news is of the offseason, it's been a quiet offseason. They signed Nico Sturm. they brought back Marcus Johansson, and they essentially traded nothing to get Vladimir Tarasenko, and they're hoping that he kind of rekindles his magic the way that he was down in Florida. I sat down with John Hines 2 days ago in Plymouth, Michigan, and did a Q&A in today's Athletic. Maybe that was yesterday, even. I can't remember. And
I think I read it this morning.
Yeah, it was this morning. I just can't remember when I sat down with him. That's how. Yeah, it was anyway. And he just went down 2 weeks ago to Tarasenko's home in South Florida. His wife put on made a huge Russian feast, and he spent 5 hours with Tarasenko. And look, the goal is, he is huge this year. If they can figure out a way to untap what he's lost offensively the last 3 years, by putting him in good situations to succeed, probably playing with Rossi and Boldy to start the season. If they can get some offense from him, it's an absolute gamble that was worth making.
What do you think the odds are that the gamble will pay off? What was your gut tell you?
Yeah, I don't know. If you can't play with Rossi and Boldy, then you're probably starting to get washed up.
Okay.
That'd be my. That's all I could tell you. I will say that he does not look like he's the same player for the last 2 or 3 years. Like even in here's a good example, Brandon. Is that he played on that line with Lundell and Listerinen down in Florida 2 years ago. They won the Cup, but let's be honest. Look what Marchand did with those two.
Yeah.
Marchand was one of the best playoff performers. That line was unbelievable offensively, and Tarasenko really didn't do that with them. So the fact that even on Florida he really couldn't produce, to me says he's probably getting to that age where he's,
Well, do we have any indication on Tarasenko, like what's gone south the last couple of years? Just all injuries? Because it's like he's older, but he's not old, right?
He's 33. That's nothing relatively in today's hockey. So I think injuries might have caught up to him. Definitely usage last year, who he's playing with in Detroit. Detroit stunk. But you're right. He's gone from a perennial 30, almost 40 goal scorer to, his last 3 years, he's averaged 17. So, he was this way on New York with Kane. He was this way last year with Ottawa and Florida 2 years ago, and then last year with Detroit. So this has been now a trend. And so we'll see. He has definitely not been on line with two offensive talents like Boldy and Rossi in the last couple of years. So we'll see if that fixes things.
Back to Rossi, because when I had you on the Tenna Fitzgerald a couple weeks ago, you had said, hey, the two sides haven't even talked. Like, it's been radio silent basically for 2 months or whatever. So what changed there? Was that just Marco himself saying, hey, I want to get this done, let's do it?
He's the boss, and I think that, a couple months ago, like in mid to early July, I think his agents tried to re-engage the Wild. I think it went nowhere quick. They went back to radio silent. But look, I think that Marco, also being European, knowing that it's harder to get a work visa, wanted to get this done. He, as I said to you on that show a couple weeks ago, he has worked his absolute butt off this offseason. Everything from off the ice, where he's climbing mountains. You look at his social media, he looks like an absolute monster right now physically. And you can't make somebody, gain height, but you certainly can muscle and things like that. But even on the ice, working with guys like Joe Thornton on areas where he wanted to improve, like face-offs. So I don't think he wanted to go far. I think the Wild, the one thing I did hear from the Wild about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and I think I said this to you, is that I expected that when Bill Guerin essentially got back from where he went on a retreat to the owner's home where they really, really dig into this upcoming season. He'd been on vacation. He was also at Marc-Andre Fleury's retirement party, that when he got back, I thought that they would start the conversation again with Marco, because also from the Wild perspective, they didn't want him to miss camp. But that's never good for anybody. And I think both sides made a real good compromise. The Wild came significantly up on what their original 2 and 3 year offers were, and definitely I could tell you that Marco came significantly down on what his original bridge deal counter offer was.
I bought into, like a lot of other people did, that once the Suter Parisi contracts were out from under them, we were going to start hitting the free agent market and signing players. Is it as simple as the best free agent players re-sign with their own teams? Is that an honest explanation of what happened? That
really is. They went after nobody after that. So it's basically the explanation. I was talking to Michael Backlund in Calgary the other day, and he said that's essentially what Calgary did. Is like, if the right guys weren't there, they weren't going to go out and spend money. And the reason why is that Bill Guerin wants to, keep flexibility where he can go after the big fish if all of a sudden guys say, I want the heck out of Buffalo, I want the heck out of Detroit. if next year there's so far 8 or 9 really good free agents, maybe 1 or 2 actually go to market. So, they had interest in Brock Nelson. That was their big guy that they wanted to go after. He re-signed in Colorado. After that, I think they would have entertained guys like Tavares or Giroux, but those guys re-signed as well. So that's really it. I mean, this was an absolute underwhelming free agent class. The scary thing is that right now with the cap soaring, everybody that wants to keep their players are always going to have the ability to do that now. So just because there are really 7 or 8 sexy names right now available on the open market next year, including Kaprizov, McDavid, Eichel, Connor, Tuck, all these guys, like most of them are going to re-sign with their teams most likely. And if they don't, it's just because either they want to heck out or those teams don't want them.
I think if you want to try to look at what's the best possible way this upcoming season can go, to me, having that cap space is actually beneficial.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, how many times over the last couple of years, Michael, have we seen them having no cap room, less than $1 million, and they have to go out and get the Gustav Nyquist of the world and the Marcus Johanssons of the world, right?
Yep.
Whereas now they are going to have the space that if they can have a first half of the season like they had last year and stay healthy, where you are, one of the top 3, top 4 teams in the Western Conference, and then you get to the trade deadline, you can go big fishing a little bit here at the trade deadline, which they haven't been able to upgrade their team while others have been during the season.
Like even 2 years ago, to your point, when they went buying at the deadline, to your point, they're adding Oscar Sundqvist, Marcus Johansson, Klingberg, which might have ruined that playoff series against Dallas. Last year, they go out and they give a second-round pick to get Nyquist at half the price, and what does he do? Essentially ruins the postseason with that, offside. So, is that Rosie just sitting there?
Oh, yeah.
Incognito.
He's just got fans all over him. Yeah.
So anyway, I mean I totally agree with you. Now the key is being healthy. Like the way that you make that $4 million become 12, 15 million at the deadline is to accrue space. And last year they just couldn't do it at all because they were constantly in LTI. So now they have flexibility to actually get some injuries and not go into LTI, which all of a sudden stops the accrual process. Because in the NHL, the cap comment is a daily accrual, where it's not like that in other sports. So you essentially count your cap every single day.
So you re-signed Rossi. Mm-hmm. You signed Tarasenko, and what were the other
Sturm. Nico Sturm, yeah.
That's about it.
So with that is
Jack Johnson.
How do you?
It's not a signing. Yeah.
Is it easy to sell hope then to Wild fans or not?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that most Wild fans still, are probably underwhelmed a bit by the summer. Now, I think all eyes are focused on what's going to happen with Kaprizov here, and if they can get him signed by hopefully the opening night, or if that's going to be a distraction, that's going to be a season-long thing until maybe the rug's pulled out from under that. So that's a big thing. Gustafsson, as I said, they might start engaging him in contract talks right now. But the Kaprizov thing is huge. Like they've offered him more than $120 million on an 8-year deal. I think even closer to 128.
Wow.
And which would make him the highest paid player in the league. And so far he hasn't enticed him to sign. So the longer this goes, the more it would look like he doesn't want to sign. So,
is there a cause for concern, do you think?
I don't think so yet.
When is he coming here? Do we know?
He's coming in about 10 days, less than that. I think Bill Guerin would like to sit down with him and try to, figure this out face to face, see what he wants. Maybe he wants to go shorter term. Maybe it's just, wrapping up they've made their offer and it's huge. And if let's put it this way, if he doesn't take this deal, like he just doesn't want to be here. It's that simple, and so we're gonna know pretty soon. He could say all he wants, but if he wants to wait and not just pounce on this when he just missed half the season because of injuries, that speaks volumes. So we'll see. I always worried that the longer this goes, the more likely it would be that he'd leave, just because it gives also. We're not naive to the fact that tampering goes on in the NHL. It gives everybody opportunities to start dropping hints to him and his representatives. Gives his representatives, good time to find out intel on what teams might come after him and feed that information to Kirill. So, to me, this is one of those deals. Like I would have, if I were the Wild, I would have tried to get this done in April rather than, waiting. Or, you couldn't have get it done in April, but you could come to an agreement in April and announce it July 1. And the second that Bill Guerin, really a week before free agency started to kind of put out little warnings to the fans, like this doesn't have to happen July 1. You just knew this was going to be a long process.
Tarasenko, who's the other young kid that we're getting from Russia?
You're up.
Do you think that helps or not? Because are there so many Russian players across the league that...
Yeah, exactly. He's got buddies, closer buddies on places that would take him in a second than and actually I was with Danila a couple of weeks ago now. I went to Connecticut to watch him train and sat down with him for 4 or 5 interviews, and he doesn't really have a relationship with Kirill. Like, a couple texts here and there, but so that's nothing that's going to keep Kirill here. Let's put it that way. Unless all of a sudden,
is Panarin recruiting him?
Well, that'd be the concern I'd have. But in terms of Yurov, truly, if one point I would make is if all of a sudden Kirill's on the ice and he sees immediately wow, this guy is actually tremendous. That would be what would weigh him. I think Kirill wants to win.
Not that he's Russian, that he's skilled.
I think that he wants to win. So if he starts to look at the process here and the really top quality, sees a future of top quality prospects that could grow with him, I think that would speak more volumes than just where the guy's from.
How good is Yurov? Do we know
that's the jury. The jury's out. I think there's a lot of people that just assume that he's going to be the superstar because Kirill was able to come over and be a superstar right away. First of all, he was basically 3 years older. He was a superstar in the KHL. Yurov broke all of Tarasenko's under 20 records, scoring records in the KHL, but last year was a step back for him for multiple reasons. One, he was coming off the shoulder. He had an ankle. And then sometimes when the KHL team sees that without a doubt you're going to North America, they start taking away role and ice time from him. So it just was kind of not a great year for him in the KHL. But watching him on the ice the other day, I mean, you could definitely see the talent and the instinct, but it's summer hockey, so everybody looks good in that. There were minor leaguers and college kids that I'm like, oh my God, who's that? And then you look at their
names. It's a different game.
It's a different game, summer hockey. I mean, Chris Kreider looked like Chris Kreider of old the other day. And he might be, but you know what I mean? Like, so I guess even like John Hines told me in that sit down, in that interview that I had with him in today's Athletic, that they don't even know. They don't know, is he a star? Is he a top 6 forward? Is he a center right away? A winger? Is he middle 6? Is he going to need time? They really don't know. So I think he's going to be a really good player. The question is does he pop right away? And what does he eventually become? Let's put it this way. He's not Kirill Kaprizov. I don't think he'll be that.
And speaking of Kaprizov, getting back to him, I think it's needless to say that if he were not to sign and leave and sign elsewhere, be the equivalent of Justin Jefferson or Anthony Edwards 100%. Not signing, right? I mean, it would be devastating to the franchise, right?
I mean, the only good thing is then they'd have $16 million to spend on somebody else. But how do you get that player? You can't invent them.
Yeah.
And again, if those players are available next summer, they're going to have probably 20 teams that could go after him. So you're right. It'd be starting.
This place ain't a very desirable destination without Kirill Kaprizov.
It'd be starting from square one. It's just a non-factor. It would absolutely ramp up everything from angst to pressure on the organization. It'd Bill Guerin on the clock. Right. So a disaster, yeah. But the other thing is, I will say, I just said this to PA this morning, too. I don't think, to give remember, this contract comes at 29. He's had 3 years in a row of significant injuries. Last year, really significant. An injury last year that really could be the sign of something else that's going to come.
It's risky of him to not sign us.
Exactly. When you have those core muscle injuries, that usually means your hips are out of whack, things like that, and then eventually you're just buying time for that to become a problem. So for this contract to start at 29 years old, to give that type of player 8 years times 16, that's a risk on the Wild, too. So I am under the impression, I know that Bill Guerin probably does not agree with me, but my opinion is it would actually be better for the Wild to only sign him to a 4 or 5 year deal. Then one from the Wild, from Kaprizov's situation, he gets his money because he'd probably still get the same amount of actual money and salary, but it put some pressure on the Wild to build a contender around him. Say, all right, the clock starts now. Build me a cup contender or I'm out of here in 3 or 4 years. I actually think that'd be good for the fans, for everybody, for Kirill. But from a other standpoint, from a Wild standpoint, I actually think it would alleviate the risk a little bit, because if you give him 8 times 16 or something and he does have just chronic injuries year after year, that'll be devastating as well.
The blue line, we're going to be depending on some younger players this year, and you've talked about Jonas Brodin potentially, and not being ready for the start of the season. 1, do we know the extent of Brodin's injury? And then 2, what is your confidence level in David Juracek and Zeev Buyum being able at least to, they're young guys that we haven't seen at this level really produce the way we're projecting them to do.
Well, I mean, they've definitely put in the work. Boyum's been here since July 27th, and Juracek's been here since August 3rd, according to Hines. And so they've definitely, especially in Boyum's case, put on some weight. And so we'll see how they integrate. Brodin obviously missing time is going to be big because also if you're missing a chunk of training camp, that could be problematic on when you actually become on top of your game. Although he figures out ways all the time. So I'm a little bit concerned. It's still surprising to me that they let him go to the World Championships, and he was great in the World Championships. And then all of a sudden, a month later, I get word that he's essentially flying to Colorado to have surgery. So, and this is based off an injury that he was playing with a lot this year. So it's just surprising to me that he was ever cleared to go there in the first place. But essentially now because of that, he's going to miss the start of the season.
Do you talk to Craig Leopold often, and where do you think he's at with? I mean, we know the guy wants to win. He's a hockey fan first and foremost. He wants to win. That's why he approves the deals he does, and the Kaprizov and getting, changing general manager, the whole thing. Do you know where his mindset is right now?
Yeah, I would say that, I don't talk to him often, but he's extremely accessible. I'm hoping to sit down with him at some point here in training camp to ask that very question, because as much as he loves Bill Guerin, he also, as to your point, he's tired and wants this team to take that next step. And so the one thing I will say in that story that we had in The Athletic last year is that they have sort of this 5-year plan. It was almost like a secret 5-year plan. And he told us they were in year 2 of the plan. So I would tell you there's 3 years more. But yeah, I mean, let's put it this way. If Kaprizov's not signing, all bets are off on everything. The whole plan changes. Right. There's no plan without Kaprizov. And so, my hope is at some point to talk to him, but I don't want to put words in his mouth.
Right.
But knowing him the way that I do, he's owned this team since 2008. He's spent to the cap essentially every year. So financially, he is committed to this team, and this is not a Pollad situation. He's he's spent to the max that he's allowed to in the National Hockey League. Obviously, the amount of money in the a cap in the NHL is significantly less than even what the Pollads invest in salary. But I think that he, like a lot of fans, are ready to, I'm sure him watching Vinny Viola will lift a cup every year, and Jeff Vinik down in Tampa. I'm sure he wants to be that guy one day.
All right, well, let's switch basically the exact same question then to the GM, Bill Guerin. I think for most of Bill's tenure here, it's easy to excuse anything the team does wrong because of the Parise-Suter things. That excuse is now gone, and he's now been here a while. So now the next year or two, I think, the clock might start running out on him if it doesn't start going the right way. From your conversation with him, is he feeling pressure at all? Is he feeling comfortable? What's his mindset?
I haven't asked that question point blank to him. If he's starting to feel that pressure, but I think he has to. He's not stupid. He bought himself 4 years when he made the buyouts. I mean, look, somebody was going to always have to deal with how to get rid of these contracts, especially with the cap recapture when that came in retroactively to punish the Wild. And as we saw in Parise's case, he did retire early, so the Wild would have had to figure out a way to manage that. So to me, the clock is started. That, as you mentioned, the shackles are off. There's no more excuses anymore. The Kaprizov thing is massive. If he doesn't get that signed, there's going to be a lot of questions on why Kirill did not feel, that he wanted to commit 8 years to this organization, let alone maybe even 4 or 5. So the pressure is absolutely on right now. But again, I sat with Billy a couple days ago in Michigan as well, and he continues to relay incredible optimism and confidence that this deal is going to be done because he has all the information and he knows where these things are at. So maybe that's one big reason why. But he's obviously going to need to meet with Kirill face to face and then figure out a way to button this up because nobody wants this to be a season-long dispute.
Well, and if you get when you do ask him that question about are you feeling pressure, just from what I take from what I read and hear from him on the air, he's pretty upfront. He'll answer. Yeah, he'll answer. He's not going to try to sugarcoat anything. He seems to just whatever he feels like he says. Right?
No, absolutely. He definitely is not shy from that perspective.
Thanks for sharing your time with us.
Yeah,
you go take a break, go hit some balls, come back, you'll be able to right? Very good. That's Michael Russo of The Athletic sharing his information, his wisdom about what's going on in the National Hockey League in general, specifically with the Minnesota Wild. We'll take a break. When we come back, Mark Rosen joins us, the legendary one from Channel 4. We're at the State Fair.
Oh, boy.
Carousel Park, Shadows of the Grandstand here on The Fan.
This Labor Day, say goodbye to spills, stains, and overpriced furniture with WashableSofas.com. Featuring Anabay, the only machine washable sofa inside and out, where designer quality meets budget-friendly pricing. Sofas start at just $6.99, making it the perfect time to upgrade your space. Anabay's pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and interchangeable slipcovers are made with high-performance fabric built for real life. You'll love the cloud-like comfort of hypoallergenic, high-resilience foam that never needs fluffing, and a durable steel frame that stands the test of time. With modular pieces, you can rearrange anytime. It's a sofa that adapts to your life. Now through Labor Day, get up to 60% off site-wide at WashableSofas.com. Every order comes with a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. If you're not in love, send it back for a full refund. No return shipping, no restocking fees, every penny back. Shop now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.
Come on, why is this taking so long? This thing is ancient.
Still using yesterday's tech? Upgrade to the ThinkPad X1 Carbon. Ultra-light, ultra-powerful, and built for serious productivity. With Intel Core Ultra processors, blazing speed, and AI-powered performance, it keeps up with your business, not the other way around.
Whoa, this thing moves.
Stop hitting snooze on new tech. Win the tech search at Lenovo.com. Lenovo. Unlock AI experiences with the ThinkPad X1 Carbon, powered by Intel Core Ultra processors, so you can work, create, and boost productivity all on one device.
Looking for a mortgage, credit card, or auto loan? Then you should know your FICO score. Did you know 90% of top lenders use FICO scores? Visit myfico.com/free today to get your FICO score for free. MyFICO makes it easy to understand your credit with FICO scores, credit reports, and alerts. Visit myfico.com/free or download the MyFICO app and discover the score lenders use most.